Alright, we're going to do some painting today. Some of you will recognize what I got scattered everywhere here. One of the problems I had with the Honda was the paint. I stripped the paint off that thing like 4 times, and that's why I'm painting the Gremlin, is to get where I can do gloss paint. And the problem I'm having with the gloss paint is it is orange peeling. So what I've done is, this is the color paint I'm using on the Gremlin. What I've done is I've lowered the air pressure very, very far. And I'm going to paint it on this clear spoon. Okay? Now, I got a couple of people who are watching who've never done airbrushing before. And I need to explain to them how this airbrush works. Okay? Oh, yeah. I'm being directed to get back in there. What's going on is this. I'm painting a spoon because on a flat surface I didn't get the orange peel. I only really got the orange peel on a curved surface. Okay? So that's why I'm doing the spoon. I've seen a lot of you doing test painting on spoons. So I don't feel bad that way. I'm going to let that one sit for a minute. I'm going to do 2 of them at low air pressure.
And that would be a similar substance as your model.
I'm pretty sure it's the same plastic. I've watched people scratch build with plastic spoons and forks.
This is really cool. So that is your little hopper.
Yeah, now this is pretty thin paint. This is not your typical paint you buy at the hobby shop. Okay? This is from a company that makes nothing but model car paint. Okay? Now, the airbrush, you push it down, notice no paint's coming out when I push the button. I have to pull it back to get paint to come out.
Pull the trigger button?
Yes. And
so it's sort of a dual...
It's a dual action.
On for air, back for
paint. And the further back you pull it, here, let me show you on something. And I don't mind setting that spoon down for a minute for a reason. But look, I pull it back a little. I'm going to start moving it. See, I get a little bit of paint, and I pull it back a lot.
So you control your flow.
Yes, you control your flow by how you pull it back. And part of the trick to painting is to do very, very thin coats and let it dry in between. That way you are not... I'm getting orange peel on this one, I think. That way you are not flooding it and getting just runs of paint everywhere. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. I'm going to get one and I'm just going to flood it. And I'm doing a really low pressure to try to prevent the air pressure from pushing the paint around on the surface. Okay, what fell? Oh, that's okay. That will survive a fall. I was afraid it was the thing I just did some gluing on.
So is after a certain number of layers that you'd get the orange peel?
No. I'm beginning to think after looking at these spoons that it was the paint I was using. Yeah, because there's no orange peel on these. It might have been a higher pressure because I'm going to paint a couple at a higher pressure. Right now I'm at 10 psi. And half the people out there are going to be like 10 psi. How's that even moving paint? Because typically you run 15 to 20 psi. And I got to cut way down after reading a few things. I'm trying to see if that does.
Slower is the
yeah, here, look. I'm just going to flood this one. Now, is that even?
No.
No. And flooding it just doesn't do you any good. And that's why I'm not flooding it. And you look at the difference between slow and steady and just hitting it.
Yeah.
Okay? And you two have already learning that this is patience, is a whole big part of this. Being patient and not rushing. If you're patient and you don't rush, you'll get pretty results. Now I can put a gloss paint over the top of that, a clear gloss, if I want. Now what I want to do is up the air pressure a bit. Okay? So I got to adjust the air pressure. Pressure. Let's find out real quick. This Yeah, we're running 15 psi now. I know there's some dirt on there, but you can hear the paint's coming up faster, and I can see it's pushing the paint around on the surface of the spoon as I'm trying to get the paint on. I can also smell it outside the spray booth a little bit. And what I'm trying to do is take a somewhat scientific approach to it instead of just doing it. Does that make sense? That's why I'm upping the air pressure a little bit each time, just to stop.
So Alan's going to airbrush his car. Will I be doing any of that on my plane?
Oh, yeah.
Sort of camouflage?
Yeah. You're going to have fun with the plane with the camouflage. You're going to have fun with the plane with the camouflage. But I think I found the problem why I was orange peeling. Because I'm running 15 psi right now, and I can see it is pushing the paint around.
So it's putting it on there, then the air is still blowing it differently.
The air's blowing it on too hard, so the paint doesn't have a chance to adhere to the surface. Does that make sense? So I need to set the 15 psi's aside. I need to mark them so I know which one was which. Then look at them with a different. And we're going to up it to 20 in a minute. And you can see how much faster the paint's accumulating on the surface too.
Will it change as it dries too? That way
well, look at this one.
Oh yeah.
That one's perfect.
See that?
The 10 psi looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas, and I'm using way more of this paint than I thought I was going to. I'm going to have to watch it. Because I got to paint that whole body on that gremlin with that color. So I can't use too much more of this. And I also think the brand of paint helps some. Because I can use all clad, which is a metal based paint, and not have a lot of problems with the finish.
So would you still put a shiny coat on that?
Yeah.
Even though it looks really shiny.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to turn the air pressure up one more notch. We're going to go up to 20 now.
The engine's got longer captain.
We're 20 psi. Let's see what this does. You can hear the air on the edges of the spoon now. And the paint's going on faster, and I'm using the same back pressure on the airbrush. In other words, I'm trying not to let too much paint through at once. It's going on faster. And this paint is very thin and runny. It's thinned properly. I can tell that much when I use it. So it's not the thinning of the paint. It's the issue here. I mean, I've almost used half a color cup on this one spoon. There's not enough in there to do this. It's eating more paint, and to get an even color, it's harder at the higher pressure.
So it's better to go less
Now, we're
air.
talking about glossy paint here. We're not talking about a flat paint or a metallic paint. They're different. And I haven't done gloss paints before, so I'm trying to figure out how. And you see, this one doesn't look too bad compared, but this one looks better.
Yeah.
You can see this one looks better.
Whatever it is for that.
This one isn't too bad either. And again, there's the 215s. They're not too horrible, but the 210s just look better. Okay? And this is the 20. Alright? So, my advice right now is to lower your air pressure if you're spraying gloss. Don't use the higher pressures. It doesn't look as good. Okay? So I now know when I spray a gloss paint, I'm lowering that pressure down very low. Now I gotta figure out what the cleaner is for this paint. That's gonna be the fun part. Because I never asked what the thinner was. It is not alcohol. Look, alcohol did not phase that paint. Okay, this is gonna be fun because I don't know what to clean this up with yet. Can you hand me that bottle of water? Okay, I'm hitting it with lacquer thinner right now. I'm using the bad spoon. And the lacquer thinner's denting it. Because I gotta clean this airbrush out. And I gotta know what to use to clean the airbrush out with. And water's not denting it, so I'm gonna have some fun here. I know the lacquer thinner at least, yeah, the water's slow. The lacquer thinner does the best job. The problem is the lacquer thinner will eat the plastic. It won't eat the airbrush. So it looks like I'm using lacquer thinner to try to clean that out with. Oh yeah, that's denting it.
Put that in there and spray it through until it comes out clear.
Yeah, someone wanted me making a cleaning video for the airbrush, so they're getting one right now. This is what I do between coats. Now, most people use an airbrush cleaning station for this. I'm not, because this air vent, this spray booth moves so much air. You two aren't smelling that lacquer thinner, most likely.
Nope.
You have to be right on top of it to smell the lacquer thinner. Yeah, you outside, you're going to smell it. The spray booth, and I've been asked this question before too, is moving 270 cubic feet of air per minute. Yeah, it keeps it from being too bad in here. Let's put some more lacquer thinner in there. Now, lacquer thinner is probably the harshest thinner you're going to find. It's not really good for your fingers. It'll strip the outer layer of your skin off. But the airbrush is clean and ready for the next set of paint already. Now, I'm going to mark these spoons real quick, and then we'll get set up for you to paint your car. Okay? Alright everyone, we're going to talk results. 20 psi on the green. Looks pretty good. Okay, it's nice and shiny. That's a gloss paint to begin with. It's very obvious. I thought I had two, but I only had one 20 psi. Now, 20 psi on the red, however, that is the old familiar orange peel I was having trouble with. Okay? I know it's showing up on the video camera. I can see it. We go to 15 psi on the green. It looks pretty good. Both this piece doesn't. Okay, and that's probably either an imperfection in the spoon. That paint's not cured up yet either. It's still tacky. That's leading evidence that it's not a lacquer paint, even though lacquer paint cleared it. That one didn't come out too good. Now, 15 psi on the Tamiya made a heck of a difference. So I'm beginning to see what the culprit was on the Tamiya. It is too high a air pressure. I was probably running close to 20 when I was painting that Honda for the Big Spring contest. Because when you look down at the 10 psi, it looks good. So I was running too high a pressure. It looks just like this green does for the I hate it when I drop model parts. It looks like this green does. I mean, so we found the culprit. I finally found out what's wrong after the contest is done, and I repainted the car 4 times. Too high of air pressure kills gloss paint. Absolutely kills it. Okay? Here. We can put them side by side and you can see it. 20, 15, 10. Look how much clearer the 10 is over the 15. Over the 20. You can see it there. And if I line up the green ones properly, let's get the good 15 green to be honest with it. This just tells you the green paint's much better. Okay? Because you can see which one's which. They look pretty much the same, although the 10 is definitely less orange peeled. I can see a bit of orange peel in the 15 and the 20. Okay? So, lower your air pressure, 10 psi when you're doing gloss paint, and you're going to have little trouble with it. And we're a high humid environment. I've heard some people tell me humidity plays a role. I've got a window open. It is 102 outside right now, I think. Dowling, can you hand me my phone? It's right behind you. Let's check and see what the temperature is outside real quick. Yes, picture of the wife on the phone. And my email comes up. That says 90, but I know that's not 90. It's 98 degrees outside right now, a high of 102. And I promise you, it's a good 60-70% humidity out there. So yeah, I screwed up. I hit the off button. So, I wouldn't think the humidity is my problem. Up next, Dallin is ready to paint his car. Okay, so we're going to get him started on painting this. And we're painting the undercarriage on it German gray. And I know that's not a black. Most people paint the undercarriage on their cars black. But if you get under a car, they're not black, because dirt isn't black. It's kind of a grayish brown color. So we're painting it grayish black. I'm going to have him hit it with some flat black too, for some dark tones, so it's not monotoned. Alright, so we're going to get going. We're going to have him, we're going to see what he does with an airbrush. This will be fun. Be back in a bit. Nellie came up to join us, and I gave her my paint spoons. And tell them what you decided, because I had her look them over. I'm giving her the one she picked out.
Yes. He told me not to look at the numbers, which I don't even know what they mean, so that I wouldn't be cheating. And then I eliminated one
from each color.
And then compare them and how
glossy they are.
Glossy, how they reflect the light, and how I don't know, that the paint looks smooth
and uniform in color.
Right. So.
And she picked out the 10 psi in both colors. So that tells me an awful lot. I'm let someone else do it, so I'm not biased. That lowering the air pressure to 10 psi works best for color paint. Yeah, well, ask me about some other things and I'll be biased. Okay, I'm biased towards that one. Alright, let me get painting with this guy before we run out of time.